and you should be able to respond to continue. Well, here's what I'm thinking for today. And if you all have any thoughts or questions or a better idea, please offer them up. I thought we'd start today with just some brief introductions and then maybe a quick, what was your greatest aha moment from all the things you studied? And then go ahead and start covering it just section by section. But if you've got a different idea, I'm sure open to it. So how does that sound?
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's just start with introductions. And in where I'm sitting, Emma is in the first square, but she's moving. Do you want to introduce yourself while you're on the move?
Yeah, so sorry. I am from Reno, Nevada, but I'm in Utah right now because I got a degree in public health at BYU. And then I did the Master's Health Coaching program just recently. So I started my sessions like last month, and so I've been cramming them in. And I'm still trying to figure out if I want to have my own business or like work for a company. I'm only 23 years old, so it's kind of intimidating, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, great. Jen, how about you?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jen. So my experience is in corporate wellness. So I've been doing corporate wellness for about 15 years. But then last year, right before COVID hit, I had the opportunity to get a position with a local hospital that is basically, I want to say like a sister company of many medical practices. So I work alongside two physicians under lifestyle medicine, one physician for our Stay Well pilot program, where we do wellness programming for our actual staff, medical assistants, and our providers. And then the other doctor I work with is for actual patients for disease reversal. So type 2 diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity. And so I'm really looking to obviously get this certification to further assist, because we're obviously hopeful that eventually AMA is going to allow health coaching to be medically billable. So that is our goal is that eventually, just like we have registered dietitians in our practices, and behavioral health therapists, that we will also be able to have, a whole entire health coaching team. And then I did complete the master's program with Will. We were actually in the same session last year. And I want to say that wrapped up like the very beginning of November of 2020.
Mm-hmm. I finished up in October last year in the group I was in.
I was going to say, I think you were in our session too.
I think so too.
With Will and I. Yeah, I remember.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I'm like you. I started my coaching sessions the second I started counting them, the second that we could. So, yeah. So, Will, tell us about you.
Sure. So I have been I've been a personal trainer and an owner of a fitness studio for over 10 years. Just recently, about a year ago, I downgraded and began with my own health coaching practice and personal training and nutrition coaching as well, all kind of in one bundle. So I shed the overhead and the employees and all that. And so it's been great. As soon as I got finished with the Master Health Coaching, I immediately started taking on clients. So I've been doing health coaching with actual clients ever since. Not in a heavy load, but it's growing steadily though. But it's been great.
Enough to make a living, I guess. Then that's great.
Yes.
Good for you. That's wonderful. And Jan, tell us about you.
Well, I live in Oregon. I just moved back here. I was in Florida. When I graduated from the Master's Health Coaching, it was in the fall of 2019. And well, so for 2020 during COVID season, I was basically moving, selling all my stuff and moving back to Oregon. I have a special needs daughter. So the kind of coaching I've been doing this past year, especially during COVID, is more around health and fitness. So it's all virtual. So, and of course, like well, like Jen does, I would love to be more in the, I think more corporate stuff, and that they would be able to get to be billed for what I do, right? I really want to get in there and help people more with their mindset and around nutrition, and the difference, that link between nutrition and disease, and make a difference that way. So before I did all that, did all of the other classes through Dr. Sears, the Primetime Health. And so I was teaching when I was in Florida at a nutrition store, and most of it I did was for the seniors classes. And I did one a month and was free, and it was just a way to get started. I have an elementary ed degree, and raised my kids, and it's like, this is a new path in my life, okay, Lord, what's the second half of my life look like? So I went to a conference, and I saw Dr. Sears wellness thing there, and I go, oh, this sounds really cool. I'd like to teach, and this might be my fit for me. So I love to teach kids, and I've done, like nutrition detective classes, and it's like, so I'd love to do family stuff too. It's just where you can get in that niche, so I kind of ended up that. And like now, most of the people that I work with right now are women who want to lose weight. It's like, okay, I want to do a little more than that, but hey, it pays the money right now. So,
Right.
but like you were talking about, I think it'd be nice to be able to help other people through the maybe insurance and stuff. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all. Well, as you heard, I finished in October of last year with the master's with Sears. Really was very grateful to have all those studies to do during COVID. I had another position, which I just decided to pursue this full time, so I let that go. So preparing for health coaching was a real blessing during the whole COVID year. So I really love helping other people, like I'm sure each of you do, having the chance to help them with their issues. I have really, my eyes have been really open to some really messed up families and people with some just poor self-esteem and poor overall nutrition, and even a concept of what wellness is. So I am loving the opportunity to coach one-on-one. But like Jen is doing, I have just met with a functional medicine medical doctor, and I'm hoping that he wants to do some group work, and I'm hoping he and I can form a partnership for that. So I'm waiting to see that. But like all of us, we need health insurance reimbursement. So praying that that comes early next year. Well, let's go on to the next question then. What was your greatest learning point from all the materials? Because it's just, we've all just been through this. It's pretty fresh. And so we have read it, and we've read it again, and then we've read it again and again. But did you find something that you really went, I didn't get that before. I didn't catch that. So did you have an aha moment? And if you did, what was it?
Oh gosh. Well, for me, because I've been doing my coaching sessions, logging them, I felt like this past week of information and readings like really resonated with me. Like I felt like, okay, these are the steps I took. So I felt confident in regards to that, like those 5 components, like the re-engaging, like definitely opening up the session with like an appreciative question, thanking the client for their time. So I felt like I really did try to kind of conduct that with the first health coaching session, and also reviewing like obviously administrative tasks, which I do think is important in the document. Even when I started logging, I had a physician's patient who was referred to me. And again, it was like a free pilot for them to do the health coaching sessions. But when they really reviewed the welcome packet and realized that they do need to put some work into it, the responsibility of a coach and a patient, then they politely like declined to go through the process. So I do think that the welcome packet is very beneficial. But I think my biggest aha moment was that purposeful closing ending of the session. I typically do always ask like the client or the patient, what did you enjoy about today's session? But watching the video, I think it was from session 15, it made me realize that there's so many questions that we can actually ask that are open-ended to really get feedback on how we can improve as health coaches. So for me, that was like my aha moment where I guess I forgot, like, oh yeah, there are ways I could probably ask questions that are open-ended to receive feedback of, you know, what's working, what's not working, and how I should maybe like perceive how the patient feels moving forward.
Very good. That sounds great. Anyone else?
I like that the reminder is that we're co-creating this together. It's not me, you know, because that's my, and I'm having to work on that is as a teacher background, I'm having that teacher hat on too much. And so I'm like, oh, so this was a good reminder going through that because it's easy to slip into that. Or even when you ask permission,
Yeah.
hey, I have this, you know, would you want to hear this or da da da. So it's better to see what they're, and again, like she just said, those open-ended questions. And that's something I really want to work on getting better at because it's hard to think, well, what can I ask them? Spur of the moment, you're like, oh. So I definitely need to get better at those kind of things. But it was good. And I did not get to watch all of 15. I was doing that when I got the text coming through. So I'll have to go back to that. But it's, you know, keeping up on the studying and getting back to it. I'm glad that they gave that also about how to study, because I haven't had to study since college. You know, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. That's a good point. You know, gave me a minute to go to the bathroom, tell my daughter, you're gonna have to do something else. I have a special needs daughter, so it's like okay, have her on the weekends. But it's all good, right? We're just a learning process for everybody here. So.
That's right. I need to look at that about how to do the study thing. So I didn't review.
Yeah, where was that again?
You didn't pick up on that when we met last Thursday.
The Zoom call?
The Zoom call, and they had said, well, about studying, this is a good idea, to set an earphone for 25 or a timer for 25 minutes, turn all your notifications off, and then for 5 minutes set your timer, and then you can check your phone, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, check your kid, and then go back for 20
okay,
minutes.
I didn't know if there was like a document or something.
No. And that had really helped me because it's like, okay, I can focus for 25 minutes, but I get a 5-minute break. And it really helps. Sometimes you kind of feel tired.
Oh,
I don't know if you get that and you're starting to fall asleep. I'm like, okay, okay, I'll read out loud. I'll stand up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or highlight some more stuff. I don't know. I'm writing notes in my notebook. And anyhow, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, no, that's okay.
Okay. So that helped me. Anyhow.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing that because I didn't catch that either.
Oh, okay.
Will, did you have any thoughts? Any special aha?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't really an aha moment, just more of a nice reminder. When I initially, when I first finished the advanced program, and I took on a good group, you know, maybe 4 or 5 clients, and so we did all that introductory first session stuff a long time ago, and I haven't really acquired any more on purpose just because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. So it was a good reminder of that process because it's been so long for me. So it was just good seeing it all again. And then also, even though it's kind of ingrained in me, I still missed out a little bit on some of the oars. So it was good to see oars again. You know, so it was good, just reminding me that I need to follow up on that and make sure I'm doing that stuff. That's all.
That's great. Yep. Okay. And Emma, any thoughts?
One of the things that I applied was like the mindfulness before sessions. I think I get really stressed and I have so many things going on that sometimes I don't give my full attention, or I mean, I'm there and I give a lot of attention, but my brain is just kind of too stressed out. And so I think like kind of walking myself through the things of like, you know, she said like, notice the noise outside, notice this. And so I kind of try to do that and just like calm my brain down. And then another interesting thing that I was like, didn't really think about is it's called proxemics. I don't know how to say it, but it's just talking about how like the personal perceive the social and personal space. I think kind of, it's like a little bit harder when we're doing it through Zoom and online, like but just like thinking about if I were to have an office, like how would I want to set it up so that there's not a lot of distractions? And they were saying like that kind of has more impact than we think if we have, like just we need to be more aware of that. So those are some things I liked from this week.
Good, good. Well, I picked up one thing that when we've gone through training that I didn't pick up was to leave the client knowing exactly, and I guess I'm focusing on the word exactly, with what they need to do the next week. And I think I have always worked with my clients so that they knew in an informal way what they were to work on the next week. But this made me realize I need to formalize that. And I recognize the client could do that summary, or we can do the summary. And then the idea of leaving them with something to ponder. I thought that was very intriguing. So something that intrigues them, something to ponder on. So I've started trying to incorporate that into my sessions as well. So I thought that was very, very helpful. Well, we have 2 sections to cover today under the coaching structure. And that starts with section 1.1 and section 1.2. So let's kick in with 1.1 for the coach preparation prior to the session. And that overview reminds us that that's our time to review our materials, eliminate our distractions, like Emma just said, take time to become mindful, to become present, and to recognize that our state of being is going to help the client either be calm and receptive or not, and create more of an awareness for them for self-discovery. So our competencies then included that the coach is calm, present, and emotionally available. 1.1.2 was review all your client materials prior to your session. And then 3 was to recognize the logistics. So we can just kind of work through these. If you want to do that, does this sound like a good format for everybody? Is everybody comfortable with this? Okay. All right. Well, if not, just speak up, because I'm just here to keep us moving, not to be in charge. So, all right. 1.1.1 tells us that the coach is calm, present, and emotionally available. What did you see in that area that was helpful to you?
I actually agree with Emma a lot with that. I mean, I understood, like, we were always kind of like told to have a calming environment and to be present. But I agree with Emma, like a lot of times I would be so stressed out because, a lot of us are like working still, and I'd be in between like other projects that I had to do, that I thought that I was like being really present by going to like a separate room and making sure I had a really clean background with not a lot of distractions. But I think it's like that mental aspect where it gave feedback regarding, I'm just saying like, I am present right now, or like even taking a deep breath and focusing just on your breath, really fully to give 100% of your attention, like directly to the client or the patient. So, for me, I thought that was really helpful, just the fact of like the actual pre-meditation aspects.
Do you all find that you're doing that well, that you, when you're thinking, when you focus on that you're taking just a few minutes to have the deep breathing and a time of meditation? Does anybody do that now that it helps?
I started doing it I reminded myself to do it this week. I was like, oh my gosh, I just totally forgot. And so I actually did it with my client, and we're there together relaxing, because especially when you're doing stuff virtually, you don't know what's going on behind her. And I mean, one had a dog. Actually, both of them had their dogs with them. I'm like, really? This week. So yeah, we took 3 deep breaths, and just that helped. And then I asked them a couple of questions, like, I guess that's probably a good way to do it. Just saying, what are you grateful for? And what do you want to praise yourself for this week? And so that was really nice, just to open that up in a positive way. So I thought that I've done that before and I kind of forgot. So this was a good reminder.
I like the meditating with the client and patient. That's actually, I think that's a phenomenal idea. And I would actually love to incorporate that because it sets the tone for them, like you mentioned.
Mhm.
And I think it is hard because a lot of us have had to do it electronically with our coaching sessions. So even for me, like I've had to work from home. And of course, like right before COVID hit, we like got a puppy. So like that's so hard because if somebody like even walks by our house, there's like a lot of barking. So I think that's like mentally stressing me out. Like I don't want there to be distractions for the patient. My house is small. So even if I move to a room, like you can still hear my dog. Or I agree with you. Like other people sometimes have had to do coaching sessions at home, like the patients or clients, and like they can't necessarily, not have their children there or their animals there. So I agree with you. Having the patient do that with you is a great idea.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. Okay. What about the, this was in the Barks book, maybe? I wouldn't swear to that. But there was the list of the tips to activate mindfulness before the coaching session. There was 6 of those tips. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Take 3
Yeah.
deep breaths, close your eyes for 5 seconds. Become aware of your breathing as the coach. And I really like this one. State to yourself, I am grateful for this opportunity to connect and make a difference. To remind yourself to be grateful for that client's presence with you. I have an opportunity to make a pivotal contribution, and I'm open to and curious about what will unfold. I thought that was all very helpful. Any comments about that?
I like the part, like I'm open to anything that's going to unfold, because I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I definitely feel that when I've been health coaching, sometimes I feel like I need to be so prepared. Like I need to know exactly like what we're going to talk about. And even though I ask them if it's okay, we know most patients will say yes when you ask permission. But I do always feel like, okay, well, I have to have like some sort of activity, but once you get past like the exploring portion and the affirmations portion of like the desires, the needs with the wellness wheel, the wellness vision and all that, sometimes once you continue with the health coaching sessions, you realize you can't always, you know what I mean? You can't really prepare those activities because the patient may have had like an emotional week, or they maybe weren't able to like implement their plan because of something. So I think that that's important to mentally tell yourself, like you're open to whatever is going to unfold and that you can't always control everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would definitely say that. And that's what I was a little apprehensive about, because I know this is what we need to do. Like we're in, this is a relationship with both of us, but they're actually leading us and we're guiding them. So I'm like, okay, so that's like you're saying, that's a little scarier. So you really almost can't prepare that much. I mean, more than we thought, like remember when we had to do all those things and saying, okay, did you do this? And did you ask this question? And did you ask this way? And da, 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 da. Realistically, it's not like that at all. If really all the stuff that I've read this week, it's like, it's not like that at all. Or is it just me thinking that in my head that I'm thinking this wrong? I mean, really. I mean, we can do the beginning part. Remember, we have to ask those questions, and it's the closing, it's the being mindful in the middle of it and just being present with them. But it's that like they flow and ebb thing, but okay, how do I do that? That makes it look so easy.
I know, I agree.
You remember, what's that other, I haven't really heard her in 2 years. What's the other gal that they'd always, Keller? Was that her last name?
Molly or no, not Molly.
Oh, Kellogg. Molly
Kellogg.
Molly
Yeah.
Kellogg, yeah.
She's really good, huh?
Yeah. And I think she's done it a while.
Just a little. Yeah, just a little.
I'm pretty sure, isn't she a psychologist though too?
I don't know, but she asks very good questions. That's what I want. I'm striving for that.
I think once we've got a little more experience under our belt, we'll be just as good as she is.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You're probably really good, Jen. 15 years. Wow.
Well, I mean, even though I've been doing corporate wellness for 15 years, a lot of it was like wellness programming, right? Or health screenings. I did a little bit of health coaching, but like the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute definitely made me appreciate kind of how we need to also appreciate where our client and our patient are at, and that we understand that they're the best individual that knows what's best for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like the aha moment too for me, because a
Yeah.
lot of like everything I've done in the past was like challenges. So I got to create creative challenges or do lunch and learns. But the actual like coaching psychology portion of creating behavior change, it is a lot, it's a lot of information. And sometimes it is hard because like you mentioned, Jan, like you don't really know like where the patient's going to go or the client's going to go at each of those health coaching sessions. And like you mentioned too, Phyllis, that's what I noticed in my health coaching logs is just so many people like have such low self-esteem. And like it's insane. I mean, it just based on their experiences, like their upbringing, how maybe their family, coworkers, bosses, parents have talked to them. So that's like where I am really seeing like people have a difficult time changing, is really just focusing on their past failures and they can't move forward.
Yeah, you can see that in their self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they've worked with some counseling, because I was thinking, gee, maybe I'm not the right person to be doing this. But then I hear with her self-talk, so I know she's had some counseling before. I'm not sure if she's in it right now. So I'm glad of that, because I don't think I would be able to coach her, work with her otherwise, because she's reminding herself now, this is where I've been. And she's talking out loud to me while she's talking.
I actually agree with you. I've had some patients who stated like they were before with a counselor, and like they've even kind of realized just in health coaching that like I can't tell them what to do and that they maybe need to go back to that. And I'm sure we're going to visit this in our future health coaching sessions too with our material. But the one thing that kind of resonated with me is like when a patient says something negative, like if they're like, oh, I like wasn't able to do my plan this week because like I just had my kids and I had to do X, Y, and Z with my kids, and they start like putting themselves down, then I try to like reframe it and say like, you're an excellent mother, you put your children first. And like, so I've been trying to like do that, because when the clients are so negative, I try to like reverse it in a way where they can see that some of those attributes are actually like positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a lot of people are so accustomed to putting themselves down that having someone to build them back up it's novel to them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what thoughts do you have? Anything on this 1.1 section that you want to bring up?
I mean, you guys kind of pretty said it already for me. Just making sure, a reminder to making sure that you are going to be present and in a calm, position. Sometimes I might go from, working with a client on a nutritional basis, or maybe I've just personal trained a client and then I'm going right into health coaching. And so I've been trying to give myself a little bit of a buffer of time and not just have it too close back to back, and just give myself a chance to breathe and really think about what it is that we're going to talk about and review what we did in past sessions and all that. So just reiterating what you guys said.
And Emma, how about you? Any thoughts on this section before we move on?
I like what Will said about the buffer time. I think just kind of like how we're talking about every section before, having some time to be calm. I think remembering that if we have sessions so stacked up next to each other, we're not going to be able to be present as we probably want to be, with thinking about what each client needs and wants, and like just getting very overwhelmed. And then I think just reviewing, well, at least for me, since I'm pretty new to this stuff, just like reviewing what we're going to talk about and the materials that I sent them, or the materials that we're going to talk about before or during the session, kind of helps me be focused and better present. So
There was one, and I don't remember which book, but one book talked about the 50-minute hour. I've been doing 60-minute sessions with clients, and I recognize now that I should cut those back to 50 minutes so that I have more time to help make the notes and get ready for what the next week's session will be, and to also leave that buffer, a little more buffer time in between clients. So I thought that was great advice. All right, I just had a notice pop up that our 40 minutes is almost over. So again, it is going to just, it's down to just about 5.5 minutes before it cuts us off. So when we get cut off, just remember, just come right back into this same room and we'll continue where we are. Okay, section 1.12, review available client materials. Any revelation there about being mindful of looking at what you talked about with the client the week before, or wherever you are starting with that client? Anything there you want to bring up?
Just a reminder of the importance of trying to get any client materials or forms to them as soon as possible. So it gives them a chance to review everything, and then that will shorten the time when you're with them in a session. So you don't have to spend as much time going over every nuance of like a client, like an initial agreement package or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, I'm just looking at my notes here. So when I reviewed the administrative information with them, like in my coaching logs, I noticed that anytime I would ask the client, if they had any questions like on the agreement form, I honestly typically always got the response of no. And so it's really getting creative with the EPE. But I guess my aha moment on that was, reading and watching the videos that were recommended for this week. It says if you offer EPE, you really need to make sure that you're offering a menu of choices regarding like what the patient's desires are or what they want. And it's hard, right? Because it's really early in the coaching session. So we're still kind of getting to know that. And I feel like for me, when the patient never has questions, I typically would always lead my EPE style with, if they needed to follow up with me and how would they do that, and a menu of options like emailing or calling or what works best for them. And I feel like I don't know if I could be better at that, like how I would necessarily like tailor that EPE better for the client during that administrative information skills portion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I think that's a good reminder, those EPE skills.
What does that stand for again?
Okay, I even need to like look it up again. It was like, isn't it engage and evoke, I think?
Elicit, provide,
Oh, it was elicit, provide,
yeah.
elicit.
Yeah, see, even I forgot. I'm like, I know what it is, like when I bring it up to the client, and like, because we're always asking them permission first, like what do they know about something? And then if they don't know, then we offer them a menu of choices after, in a respectful, informing manner when we ask them if it's okay. And then after that menu, then we ask, do any of these options sound good? Or do you have like your own thoughts after hearing those?
And I think that's a good reminder too, when we are going through the agreement with a client, that we need to ask specific questions. If you just say, do you have any questions? They're going to say no. But if you ask a specific question about a specific segment of the agreement, then that makes them have to realize, oh, I probably should have really read that thing.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like a lot of, and maybe it's different again because mine was a pilot. And so it was like doctors that were telling their patients like, hey, you can do this for free. So I feel like sometimes when people like do things for free and they're not paying for it, like there's not always like the skin in the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't necessarily like do all the steps that they're supposed to, or in this case, like, even though the physicians I work with are awesome and they're all certified in lifestyle medicine, so they believe like in whole food, plant-based diet, and different wellness pillars, I do feel like they can get really pushy and preachy, like in their practices, even though they're regular like MD doctors with like getting a patient to sign up for something. So that's why I feel like maybe some of them didn't really fully even understand what health coaching was. You know, I think they were thinking somebody's going to tell me what to do. Like somebody's going to be like a registered dietitian and they're going to give me an actual plan. So I think some of them were like very pleasantly surprised. But I don't feel like a lot of people, at least in my case, like honestly read the agreement and everything I sent them.
Mhm. Yep. All right, we're down to less than a minute and it'll cut off. In the area of logistics, the coaching agreement clearly defined. Everybody pretty comfortable with how to lay out their coaching agreements that you send to clients, getting a signature that you sign and they sign.
They had quite a few examples in the books too. That was nice.
Yeah, there's some really great examples in there, and I'm going to modify my agreement.
Make it a little simpler. I have one that's so long. I'm like, okay, it doesn't need to be. I like that one. It's like 2 pages. Cool.
Where did you, in what book was that?
In the How to Be a Health Coach, I think there was one that's, no, Lifestyle Wellness Coaching has one that's 2 pages. And I really like that one because it's got the boxes, the coach box and